At the end of the last school year, I did an interview with the principal of Luther Burbank Middle School, Stephen Hubbell. He gave great information about some of the programs that he has in place at the school, but it was at the very end of the school year, so students couldn't really take advantage of the information that he gave. So I asked Stephen if he would like to actually come in and join us again and be a guest on another podcast so that he can give any news or information about new programs being implemented, as well as any news or information. So if you have a student that will be attending Luther Burbank Middle School or that will soon be attending Luther Burbank Middle School, I think you're going to want to watch today's show. Today I have a returning guest, Mr. Stephen Hubbell, the principal of Luther Burbank Middle School. He's going to be talking about any new programs being implemented into the school year, as well as any news or information that would be important for parents of students at the school, as well as any students themselves. So welcome, Stephen. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you, Armando. Thank you for having me back on the show.
All right. Very good. Now, before we get started, I wanted to ask you, is this your second year as the principal, or we're now going into the third year?
This is my second year. I actually got hired in November, so my official start of my second year doesn't happen until the first week of November, but it is the first full year that I'm coming back. So yeah, this is partial second year. Yeah.
All right. So what would you say you have learned in these first year as the principal?
The most important thing I've learned is developing strong relationships with the staff, with students, with parents. I was at the high school for many years, and I got to know everybody really well, and it was easy to do my job. More times than not, people feel comfortable when they know the person, and they know the person is looking in the best interests of their kids and the staff. So that's been it's not a challenge because I get along with people very easily. It's just getting people feeling comfortable and being visible. And last year we had only myself and one assistant principal. So we had a lot more work on our plate. And now we have another assistant principal and we have a Title I coordinator. So now it's going to be easier for me to do more principal duties, which is be there in the front and be visible to the community. And I think I was, but I'm definitely going to be more visible this next year.
Very good. So now that we're at the beginning of the new school year, is there anything that you would like to communicate to the parents of your students? Anything that they should know about or that students should know about?
Yeah. One of the biggest changes is not just at Luther, it's across the school district, is a focus on school safety. So one thing that we're going to be implementing is we've always had students have ID badges, but now we're going to be requiring them to wear them. We're going to give kids lanyards so they can have it in the lanyard. And as they walk on campus, we know. Also, we used to have 3 entrances to campus. 2 of them on Jeffries, which is the front of my school, and 1 of them on Maple. This next year, because of safety protocols, we're going to only end up having 2 entrances, and that will be the ones on Jeffries. We will open up the Maple gate to exit. But when we come in, we're going to only have so many devices to scan students in. Now, the scanning of students in is not going to happen on day one. It's not going to happen until September because we got to iron out a few bugs. We got to get used to the new software. Burbank Unified School District is going to require all students to be wearing ID badges, and we do give them IDs already. Most kids have it in their pocket. At Luther, we're going to give them lanyards, so as they walk in, they're just going to have it a part of their normal clothing, and we're going to know that they deserve to be on campus. That's what's going to start. We're going to have picture day at the end of the first week. It's going to be Thursday and Friday, and on picture day, they will get their IDs and they'll be given lanyards. In September, along with the lanyard and ID process, we're going to have a software program that's going to be able to scan students in. So when students come on campus, they get checked in through that. There's still going to be attendance per period, but I'm talking about just coming on campus. So again, it's not just Luther Burbank. It's going to be every single school in the district. The high schools are going to start from day one, and we're going to let them iron out all the bugs. And then when the middle schools are going to officially start the scanning in process in September.
All right. Now, last year, the first podcast that we did, you mentioned a number of personal development programs, some of your electives that were available to students, and definitely programs that I wish had been around when I was in middle school. And I definitely want to go over those. But I want to actually ask you about some of the academics. Now, as a public school, you get students at all different levels of preparation. You have students that are behind grade level, students that are at grade level, students that are beyond grade level or above grade level in certain subjects. You have students in special education, and you also have students that, one, learn very quickly and easily, and others that need quite a bit of review and preparation. So, what kind of programs do you have in place to students at all different levels that they're at?
Thank you, Armando. So we have 3 specialty programs at the middle school. One program is called GATE. It's gifted and talented, and you have to test for it. And through the testing, based on testing, you enter the program. Sometimes we're able to have kids a part of the program, a part of a thing called Space Available. So that's you have to take the test and you have to qualify for it. That's the GATE program. And every grade level, 6th, 7th, and 8th, have GATE cohorts. Usually it's about 60 to 80 students per grade level that are part of the GATE program. And that's a little bit more rigorous. A lot of those students, when they go to high school, they'll be taking honors and AP programs like that. So that's the GATE program. Another program we have is ELL, English Language Learners. And those are going to be students that are either come from a different country and or at their family speaks another language. We've had more and more students. For the longest time, a lot of the students have been Spanish speakers, and we are getting more students that have European backgrounds, everything from Russian, Armenian to recently Ukrainian students that are coming to Burbank Unified. So that's the English ELL program, English Language Learner program.
Mhm.
And then the third program we have specialty is a special education. And when we were in high school, it was probably only one class that offered it to a small group. Our special education program nowadays is so much more robust. We have everything from, it's called SDC, special day classes, where those classes would have a smaller group of kids, anywhere from 8 to 17 or so students in the class, around that, a much smaller group. General education classes usually have about 30 to 34 students in the class. So it's about half that amount that would be in an SDC class. But then a part of the special education program, there are things called collab classes. And collab classes are when students need minimal support. So they will be in a general education class with an instructional aid in there that helps not just them, but any of the students. So those students are taking general education classes. So it's much more broken up than it was when we were younger, because we're trying to help all students with all levels of disabilities.
Okay. Now, are there any programs in place that specifically help students to prepare for high school, or would that be just your regular classes, because that's really all they're doing is really getting students ready for high school?
It's kind of like what you said at the end. Our programs as a whole, we're preparing all the students for high school. When students come from elementary, they were in one class all day. When they come to the middle school, we have a rotating schedule. You go from periods 1 through 6. We're teaching kids about the finals, the academic classes, math, English, science, history. Those are the ones that are going to have finals or some type of a final project. Our 6th grade teachers do a great job of teaching the students about organization, executive functioning skills, and just being a good student. And I'm really proud of just all my teachers as a whole that do such a great job of teaching them. And I think a lot of people think teaching is about subject matter, where it's more than that. It's teaching, to be a good learner, to learn how to be a good student. Everything from I said earlier, organization, preparing. It's a process, because when we get older, we are not going to be taking classes, but we might take a test to get a certificate. We might take some program a training program at our school or at our job to learn more. So a lot of what we're doing is teaching them to be lifelong learners is really what the goal is of middle school.
That's actually really good because at Success Tutoring Online, that's really what we try to do is try to really instill in students the idea of, well, first of all, learning, if it's done right, actually is fun. To learn anything, it really is fun. But the idea would be to become, like you said, lifelong learners, somebody that is curious, likes to learn, and truthfully can learn if they understand how to learn. So, um, anyway, so you've talked about the academics. I'd like to talk to you about some of these other fun and popular personal development courses, or some of these elective classes that you mentioned at the end of last year. So, would you mind going over some of these programs so that students and parents will know about some of these options for them and what students have available to them?
Okay. So middle school is about anywhere from half to a third the size of a high school, and we're not able to have as many classes as a high school would be. So our elective program is actually 3 departments of a high school. So one portion of it is world languages, and at Luther Middle School we have Spanish, and there's different levels of Spanish. There is a Spanish class. It's a part of the wheel. The wheel would be for 6th graders, where they take 4 different classes throughout the year. They take for 10 weeks, and 4 10-week groups, and Spanish is one of them. So that's the world language component of our electives. We have CTE programs, career tech education programs, and those will be culinary arts, digital media, engineering. Those are the ones that if students, when they get to high school, they want to be a part of a thing called the NAF program. And NAF are academies that focus on particular disciplines, whether it's business, whether it's medical. But those group of classes that I just mentioned are the ones that lead into the CTE programs at the high school. And then our third group of electives are visual and performing arts, which would be choir and band. So our band program is growing. It's tripled in size from last year. And our choir program is I'm sorry, I'm going to be it's one of the best ones in the city. I can't brag more about it.
Not biased. No, not biased at all. No.
So those are the 3 different components to our elective programs. And what's great about it is there's tons of kids that have different interests and different levels. So when you're at a 6th grader and you take the wheel, you take 4 different ones, and you're only in there for 10 weeks, and you get a little taste of what each of the classes is about. And then when you become a 7th and 8th grader, you can take either semester-long classes or you can take year-long classes. So my kids are my own children. I have one in college and one who's finishing at high school. When they were in middle school, they took the wheel as 6th graders, and they took semester classes, because wheels are great for if you're really, the year-long classes are great if you're passionate about it. But if you're not too sure about what you like, then taking the semester-long classes as a 7th and 8th grader is a great choice. So I'm really happy with a lot of our programs. And they've brought a huge light on the school of the Yale Jacket Nation. Our engineering program, it was led by Miss Jessica Shackney. She actually took a handful of our students to Tesla, which is located near the Burbank Airport, and they learned about a lot of engineering that's going on over there. It was Women in Engineering Day, and it was a great experience for our middle school girls.
Wow, that's great. I didn't realize that they got that much into the actual hands-on or really learning about them. That's actually really good. Like I said, I really wish that some of these things had been available when I was in middle school, and some of these things weren't even available when I was in high school. But that's great. Okay, so you've talked about the different programs. Is there anything else you'd like to say about these programs at all?
The visual and performing arts has performances throughout the year. Usually three performances, one during the fall, one during the winter, one at the end of the year. So also our choir director is also in charge of our musical. So you'll end up having choir and drama, and Tony Redman actually does both. He's our choir director. So we have that. The other programs are Lisa Raleigh, who's in charge of our culinary arts. She has, so everybody has different levels. They have ones that are part of the wheel for 6th graders. They have the semester long ones, which are 7th and 8th graders they're not necessarily, they don't really know exactly what to take. And then you have people that are really passionate about what they do, and they'll have the advanced classes. So we have a catering class.
Hmm.
and which is run by Lisa Raleigh, which it's great. I mean, every Thursday they offer food to the staff, but then they also help us out for back to school night and open house. So all of our programs, we now have a full-time art teacher, where last year we did have 2 art classes, but it was covered by other elective teachers. Now we actually have an art program that got brought back to Luther.
All
So
right.
we have tons of classes for all kids, and it's a great opportunity for them to do something that they enjoy.
Right. Now, you also, in one of our talks, you also mentioned something about sports and how sports are being, I think, expanded now this year.
Yeah. Well, prior to the pandemic, we had a handful of different all city sports contests between Luther and Dolores Huerta and Muir. And we got away from that just because the pandemic stopped us and we had so many restrictions. And we're slowly getting it back. One thing that we are bringing back, it's called the All City Basketball Tournament, which is going to be held in November. Luther is going to be the host of it. And I can't remember exactly what date. It's about the second or third week of November. And all the middle schools are going to come to Luther and have a tournament throughout the day. That's for basketball. We are going to try to bring back other sports programs, but it's just getting everybody back on board and everybody get out of that COVID mentality and just being able to open up. I would love to open up programs such as volleyball and track and field, but we're going that direction. Right now it's only basketball, but the goal is to go through something for each of the seasons, for fall, winter, and spring.
All right. So, Stephen, we've talked about academics, we've talked about sports, and we've talked about some of the personal development or elective classes that you have. So, as we are now getting to the end of this podcast, is there anything else that you would like to communicate either to the parents of your students or to the students themselves?
One thing that I want to do as a principal, and also I want to remind everybody, I'm a father, and I've gone through this stage with my children. Is I want to teach students I want to empower them. I want to teach them to be more resilient. I don't want them to feel it's tough in this world to make all the bad go away. I want students to be able that when there is some bad incident, some bad interaction, whether it's with another student or it's just something that happens,
In
unknowingly
life,
by the
something
student in
in
life,
life.
that
Yeah.
I don't want them to, cry and run away. I do not want them to just punch the person that made them unhappy. You don't do that in this world. I want them to learn to how to deal with situations and come out of it stronger. My children now, my own children, my own blood children are older and they've become more independent, and that's what we want to do as our kids. We can't get rid of every bad interaction, but we want to learn from them. And I think middle school is a great area to learn for the kids. It's elementary, they're cute, they're little babies, and they look nice. And high school, they're definitely a lot more mature. And this is a huge time in their life where they're growing mentally and physically. And there's going to be a huge change from sixth grade to eighth grade. Our eighth graders are a heartbeat away from looking like high schoolers. And then our sixth graders, they're, like I said, they're all small and cute. But I just want students to learn, and I want them to be problem solvers. But it's going to take a while. It's difficult. I've been an educator for approximately 27 years, taught for 21, and I'm entering my 7th year as a administrator. And the more and more I work with kids, I want them to learn how to problem solve. I want them, and they do that by growing through moments. And we've had times where kids don't get along with another kid, and instead of just running away from the issue, we do things like conflict resolution, and we have them talk it out. And sometimes you get to a point where you come to a compromise, and sometimes you learn we're going to agree to disagree. But that's just a part of the adult process of learning to deal with situations. And that's what I want to do with a lot of the kids. I want them to learn and grow from it, and definitely make this as safe an environment as possible for them. But it's the longer I'm an educator, every moment I see out there, it's like, that's a learning moment. That's a learning moment. And that's just what I want for my students at Luther. I want them to learn from all these, and it's going to be a struggle. It's tough. It's not easy, and that's me also talking as a parent. This middle school years are not easy, but when they, from beginning to end, I want them to grow, and that's just what I want out of Luther and out of my students.
Very good. Well, I'll tell you, I think you've totally got the right perspective, because one, as a parent who already has students that have gone through, or kids that have gone through that stage, you've seen it from the parent viewpoint, and also being an educator, you've seen it actually as they've worked with other teachers, other students, different schools. Yes, middle school is a real transition. The kids change a lot from elementary school, starting in at 6th grade. They're, like you said, they're basically still elementary schools, starting on their journey through middle school. And by the time they're leaving middle school, they're high schoolers. They're ready for high school. And there's a huge change or transition, and a lot of change to go through, academically, socially, mentally, and some of the things that you were talking about as far as learning how to just handle and deal with setbacks or conflicts or things like that is very good, because actually more adults need to learn that too. So very good. Well, okay, it's been a pleasure to have you here as a guest today. I think we've covered a lot of information that parents should know about, and that parents should know more about, as well as that students should know. So this has been great. Thank you again for joining us here today. And I want to wish you and your staff and all of your students a great 2023-2024 school year.
Thank you, Armando. And one last thing before
Sure.
I leave, I want to give a shout out to one of our teachers, Alana Grimaldi. She became the Burbank Unified School District Teacher of the Year, and she's been she's a great person. Great person as a teacher, great person as a friend. She's a great person as a colleague. It's wonderful, and she's going on to the county to see if she can move past just Burbank Unified School District. So it's a huge accomplishment, and it's a great thing for Luther. We're very proud of her. So, like I said, a big shout out to Miss Grimaldi.
All right, very good. All right, we will talk to you later then, Stephen.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us here today by watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast site. I hope that you have found today's show valuable and informative. And if you have, please share with any friends or family that may be interested. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so as not to miss any of our other upcoming interviews. At this moment in time, I have a custom car builder that is going to be offering classes to anyone wishing to learn basic car care, whether you know anything about cars or not. And we're going to be showing some of the custom cars that he's built. Very impressive. If you like cars or would like to learn about basic car maintenance, you're going to want to watch that show. I also have two people that work at both the John Burroughs and Burbank High Schools. What they do is to help students to explore different career opportunities, and even help them to get specialized training so that they can experience what it is like to work in those particular fields. If you have a son or daughter that doesn't quite know what they want to do with their life, or are not quite settled on a particular career path, I think, again, you're going to want to watch that show. Also in the works as guests are another high school principal, a Tesla engineer, a doctor, a Major League Baseball coach, and more. So some of these are already scheduled and are finalized, while others are being talked about and are in the works. So subscribe so as not to miss out on these and others that we have coming up. So for now, this is Armando Salcido signing off, and I hope to see you again next week. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, Learning with Success is sponsored by Success Tutoring Online. Our administrative offices are located in Burbank, California, but we provide tutoring or academic advancement to students throughout the United States.